What is going on, guys? This is White Kids Talk number 4.
And we have a featured guest, as we are sure to do almost every week. And today is...
CJ Wilderness, a.k.a. Cody Anthony.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we have him on for a lack of other people.
Yeah, see, we didn't have any other interesting people to have on here.
But we have interesting people. It's just that Cody was the most available at this time period.
Yeah, we're going to have...
But he has some
he
has some pretty interesting things to talk about.
So yeah, this is going to be interesting. Our first thing that we want to get into and talk about is YouTube. Now, of course, Brian and I have this channel that we're trying to grow, and if you're not sub, please sub. But Cody over here actually has 2 YouTube channels.
That's right. CJ Wilderness and CJ Skits are both up and running.
When's the last time you posted one of these?
It's been a hot minute, but they're still there.
Still there.
Well, see, I'm in almost every single video on those 2 channels.
I'm in a few because whenever I come over, Cody wasn't planning for me. So he's like, you can just be that one guy that I didn't plan for. And
CJ Wilderness is kind of over, but CJ Skits still has a lot of really entertaining, at the very least, videos that you can go watch.
has potential.
YouTube is a very
Interesting platform.
See, you can make it big on YouTube, but it's very, very, very hard to make it past, that threshold that makes you successful on YouTube. If you didn't know, that's what Brian and I are trying to do on this channel. Not saying that we're going to get there anytime soon, but, that's our goal. If I could make a living off of being off of YouTube, my life would be set.
That'd be pretty good.
That's my dream. So, first of all, help us make that happen. Sub to CJ Skits. Honestly, if you have not watched any CJ Wilderness or CJ Skits, in my opinion, CJ Skits are better just because they're less random and
they're more planned out.
Yeah, more thought out.
CJ Wilderness is a formula. It's me walking through the woods, seeing something and being like, oh, wow, there's something, and then reacting to it. CJ Skits could literally be anything. We have videos of hillbillies drugging and raping a city kid. Not exactly in that order. We have videos of people like murderers busting into college dorms. We have meme compilations.
A meme compilation.
A singular meme compilation that all came from the 2007. But
CJ Skits, you never know what's going to be on.
Exactly. It could literally be anything.
Even though there are some really good videos on CJ Wilderness. But yeah, you should definitely check those out. If you want to have some very non-serious laughs, definitely watch those. But yeah, YouTube is a very interesting platform because what I found is you only see the top people, like in your recommended, the people you watch are only the super successful YouTube people.
But there's a whole other world out there.
There is like an entire underground, like 1,000 times the size of what you actually see that
in your recommended, you maybe see 3% of YouTube's potential.
Like, how many channels do you think there are that have 100 subs and less? There are so many YouTube channels out there. Like, it is crazy. Like, if you've seen the proportion of successful YouTubers to non-successful YouTubers, and if you're trying to be a successful YouTuber, that's probably gonna, put your hopes farther down just because it's so hard. Especially now because it's so saturated. When YouTube first started, there wasn't nearly as many people.
I think we also have to take into account the fact that companies are starting to get involved, like YouTube. We have PewDiePie, and PewDiePie is versus T-Series, and T-Series is a company. And considering that a company is making it number 2 on YouTube, and there's other ones out there that are producing mass amounts of quality videos that like people like us or like smaller YouTubers you can't compete on the level that a company has all this money.
Yeah, at least not on our size.
People. Yeah, and that's the thing that sucks because you don't know how many YouTube videos are out there that you really enjoy that you'd never find on your own.
It's dominated by the top tier.
I don't like the YouTube system in that regard because you could type something in word for word of the title of a video, but YouTube only shows I don't know exactly how to explain it. Like, they show you what's relevant to what you typed in, but it's only, like, stuff that's somewhat popular.
Yeah. For example, there was it's a whatever it's called. It means it doesn't have ads or whatever. But there's a YouTube channel called Butchie Kid Adventures where this guy goes around and he hunts Bigfoot and stuff, and it was in a way kind of an inspiration for CJ Wilderness. I would have never seen that at all if a friend hadn't recommended it to me, and I looked it up by name and I had to find it that way. But it was like one of the most enjoyable times I've ever had watching a creator, and it was one of those ones that wasn't that popular, but it was like a really good content creator. But since he wasn't that popular, most people will never find it.
Yeah, like it pisses me off because people have come up to me and be like, "Yo, I searched Paradox Studios and I can't find it. I searched like 5 pages and it wasn't there." It's like, there's not that many Paradox Studios. There's like one, and they're not that big, but so many other things come up that's not even anything to do with Paradox anything, and that shows up before us. That's actually Paradox Studios. That pisses me off.
Same with CJ Wilderness. You type in CJ Wilderness, and at least, like, John Sturgis made a video about CJ Wilderness, and that pops up before any of my actual videos do. And, like, there'll be videos of, like, actual survival tips thrown in there.
We are way past our mark, by the way, for the first topic, so we can move on to the second one. Let's make her interesting.
All right, so our next topic, I'm pretty sure almost everyone listening has grown up in our time frame that we've grown up.
Which involves anywhere between 1998 and 2003. If you were born within that realm, you'll connect with this next topic on a spiritual level.
Everyone knows SpongeBob is the best TV show ever created.
And there will never be another SpongeBob.
Never. Because SpongeBob is so good, so unique, and so special of a series. Well, at least earlier SpongeBob. The new SpongeBob is kind of meh. But the OG SpongeBob will like never be created.
Belongs in the trash.
I think it's because it's not too childish. It aims at a larger group.
Yeah,
and
like,
they also throw in adult jokes.
Exactly.
It mixes it up, and like it makes people who are older like, you know, like there's parts of it
like it's enjoyable for almost every single age group.
Which is why
it's universal. Which is why there will never be another one ever again.
And it's just so. I mean, maybe we're biased because we grew up watching it, but there's something about the OG SpongeBob.
Just the random nautical adventures that he'd go on. Like, every episode was so unpredictable. Like, you don't know, one day he's trying to get his boating license, the next day he's getting zucked by some hooks floating down.
That's what I learned. That's what I really liked about the first and second season, was that the episodes were so simple. Like, going to get a job, going jellyfishing, going to get his license. Like, they were so simple, but
simple, easy to follow concepts, but that's what made it enjoyable.
And
because you didn't really have to you could just enjoy them. You weren't it wasn't like Grey's Anatomy or Game of Thrones where you're like, what's gonna happen next? Well, I have to remember back to this point. Since all the episodes were on their own standalone things, you could just watch them and enjoy them.
But at the same time, since they were all their own standalone things, that kind of made me mad because they were so consistent. Like, so many size things, like inside SpongeBob's house changes every single time you see it.
Sometimes he has a garage, sometimes he doesn't.
He has a garage in the back.
Sometimes
only see it a few times.
He had a garden for a second, you know what I'm saying?
He had a giant ass library in his basement for one episode.
It makes a few appearances.
Yeah, he visits a few times, but it's always trippy when he goes down there because he's like, wait a second.
Sometimes he'll have a room on the top of his house where he can sunbathe. Sometimes he doesn't have it up there.
It's inconsistent like that, but at the same time,
that's what makes it lovable in a way.
I think it's really interesting, the fact that it's pretty deep. Like, there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there, and there's always a lot of conspiracy theories about anything. But SpongeBob goes deep with it's based on nuclear test we did in the 1940s,
Bikini
1950s. Bikini Atoll, yeah. And it links so much. You're like, was this the inspiration behind this? Mm-hmm. And then it really has some adult things mixed in there. Like some of the things
it has a lot of real life things, like, a stingy boss, a really cheap boss, a
depressed coworker.
Yeah, depressed coworkers.
That, and the producers knew what they were talking about. Steven Hillenburg, rest in peace, was a marine biologist, so it wasn't just some asshole from Brooklyn who was just making something. No, he actually knew what he was writing about.
Speaking of assholes from Brooklyn, Captain America, piece of shit.
Captain America, fuck, dude.
Captain America. I love America. I just don't like Captain America,
dude. Iron Man is where it's at. If you weren't Team Iron Man in Civil War, get out of my face.
Team Iron Man. They had Peter Parker there.
They had Black Panther, dude.
Say,
The most badass.
What they should have called the first Avenger would have been the most useless Avenger.
Who?
Hawkeye.
No, Captain America, the most useless Avenger.
Yeah, like, is he strong and has a shield and he's old? Like, what's his superpower?
Yeah.
He's patriotic, except he's not anymore. Like, Captain America, except he hates America and moved.
Yeah.
Wakanda.
Liberals.
And
Get out of
his
here.
best friend is the Winter Soldier, who's like Russian.
Dude, that pissed me off so much because his name is Captain America. He's supposed to be a patriotic soldier, or at least that's what he was in the comics. And now they turned him into some like rogue,
He
anti.
literally goes against all that America stands for by not signing the Sokovia
You're not
Accords.
Captain America anymore, all right? Stop. But anyways.
Yeah, we got
I
so
hate
far off
Captain
topic.
America. Anyways.
The next topic is a lot more serious, and it's a question we want to ask all our
But
viewers.
first introduce why we're
Give
talking
some
about this.
backstory onto it, shed some light.
I go to therapy once a week to talk about, school and stuff like that. And my therapist suggested, and because I told him I was going to church now, and he suggested, talk about that. And he asked me, he's like, why do you go to church? Or why do people go to church in general? And I was like, to better myself. But then you can't really, you think about it and you're like, why do I? Is it because you're deeply
And this is a deep
religious?
question that applies to, like, some people go to church just to be able to say that they go to church.
See, people go there because they like to listen to it. Some people it makes them feel better.
Yes.
A better question could be, why don't you go to church?
Some people don't go to church simply because, not that they don't believe in God, they just don't believe in organized religion.
Well, yes, I'm not just talking about Christianity. I'm talking about, like, all religions going to a place of worship. Like, why do you do it or why don't you do it?
Well, some people like to be part of a community in
Some
small
people
towns.
like to be with people who share their same beliefs. And the reason that I like watching, like, Christian podcasts or doing anything like that is because you might have a view on, like, how you interpret a part of the Bible, but then you go to a place like church where there's a bunch of different Christians with a bunch of different views on the same topic, and you can, like, take and pick a bunch of people's views on a situation and get a better understanding to see how other people think about it, so you're not just, thinking what you think.
I mean, there's a lot of things that I like talking about, but religion is something that I could go, like, really deep talking about.
I can get really deep when it comes to
Dude,
religion.
Cody and I actually... Okay, so...
There's been several times.
This one night, we watched The Babadook, and I remember it was like 2, 3, 4 in the morning. After that, we were just laying down talking about religion, like, and we went deep. That was the deepest conversation I have ever had.
We get really deep about the afterlife, the scary shit that people don't want to talk about, hell, heaven, all that stuff. We've talked about it many a time.
So could it be that people go to church out of fear that they're going
That's
to...
a possibility,
like,
too, because...
Perhaps they don't necessarily believe, but if there's that little, unconscious...
Yeah, that's more...
belief.
I'm sure a lot of people do go to church in fear because they're afraid of what's going to happen afterwards.
Because it's uncertainty, and
but
that's
that was
the most
that was
scary.
like the primarily thing that people used to go to church for, because they
were just in fear of hell.
People would use scare tactics in church. It'd be like, if you don't do this, you will burn for eternity.
And I don't think that's healthy. I don't think you should be religious just because you're trying to avoid something. I think you should be religious to try to improve your life, not, you know what I'm saying?
I think that's the question is, do you go there out of fear? Do you go there because you're used to it because your mom and dad, or your
Self-improvement?
parents,
Yeah, do you go there because you want
Is it a moral
to?
thing?
The one thing that I don't like, for a reason that people go to church, is for social status.
Yeah.
Like, people in a community will go to a certain church, not get anything out of the message, not do anything, for actual religious reasons, but just to say, yes, I go to this church, and therefore
There'll be people that are assholes 6 days out of the week, but then at church they're all high and mighty, toting their Bibles around, and then they use that, they judge other people. They're just like, oh, well, you don't go to church? Well, I go to the church, and I think that's better. And it's just like, yeah, Linda, but you're freaking giving it up under the light pole 6 days out of the week. You just happen to go to church that one day. That doesn't make you better than anyone else, because you're not going there to learn God's word. You're going there to, like, make yourself feel better.
And we're not saying you have to go to church. We're just asking the question.
Yeah, just
why
reasons
do you or
why
don't
people
you?
do it.
And that's what you should, if you're interested, you should comment that
Why do you? And if you don't, why not?
Like, if you just don't believe and you just don't care, that's...
If you're atheist or if you're against, social or a community setting of, religion or whatever the reason be.
I mean, maybe some people are maybe ashamed to go to church for one reason or the other. Maybe they don't think like they're worthy to go to church because maybe they were brought up in a strict Catholic house or a church that made them feel bad about doing this or doing that. For example, there's some people that like make you feel really guilty about maybe
that's actually something I found really interesting. I don't know. It's a very popular YouTube channel. It's called the Infographics Show, and they did a series on serial killers, and they would go in depth on each serial killer. How they were brought up, what led to them, going through with all these crimes, and something that almost every single one had in common was that they were brought up in a very strict, authoritarian religious household, and
they want to break free from it.
Yeah, that seemed to mess a lot of people up. Like, I do think that religion should be a part of a family's house, but, when you're so overruling about religion and so strict about things.
And there's this misconcept that there's so many no's that come with religion. Like, people are just like, oh, no secular music, no dancing, some people think, no this, no that.
Certain clothing.
So, certain clothing, certain activities, but that's just not true for the most part.
I mean, I guess it depends on how orthodox you are.
Mm-hmm.
Or
some churches are more strict on that.
Yeah. But, yeah, that was probably one of the more deeper subjects. Tell us what you think about, why or why not.
We could make an entire podcast just on religion alone.
But that last three topics were our non-political section. Our political section starts here. So you non-political bastards, get the fuck it. No, I'm joking. It's gonna be fun. So liberals aren't allowed here. Our first political topic is the whole Jussie Smollett situation. So if you have not heard about this, Jussie Smollett is a gay
actor. He plays on the
gay
Empire.
African American actor. He
on
plays
a show you've probably not heard of.
I didn't hear of it. Empire.
Yeah.
And he basically faked an entire hate crime.
So yeah, he said that he was assaulted by two people wearing
two MAGA people.
Two white men wearing MAGA hats.
When I first heard this, because I think when you hear stuff like this, you're like, well, that's terrible. That's, you don't want anybody, no matter what they believe in, to be... There's some sick people out there that, like, I want to kill all the people that don't agree with me. But, like, normal human beings, normal Americans don't want to kill each other like that. And when I heard this, I was like, that's terrible. I don't believe...
Yeah, I don't
agree with those.
Noose put on his neck. He had bleach poured on him. There were just hate speech.
Yeah, there were just so many things about the story that you had to, like... That were just too perfect for that situation. They were screaming... I don't know what he said they were screaming, but he said that they were two white men wearing MAGA hats in Chicago at 2 o'clock in the morning. They recognized him from the show Empire. Now, first of all, why would two white Trump supporters, racist white Trump supporters, be watching Empire? I don't know. But they recognized him from that.
Ran him down with... Just so happened to have rope and bleach on him. Ran him down, tied him up. So there's an investigation launched, obviously, and the whole thing got traced back to two Jamaican immigrant brothers. Bodybuilders. These two huge Jamaican brothers, 18 packs, the whole nine
Now,
yards.
this is interesting because if you're going to pay someone to commit a hate crime, at least hire white people. Dear God, like
that was it made it me sick and a lot of people I know sick when it comes out that he faked it and
because your brother.
And now you're thinking how do they know he faked it? Because the immigrants, the two Jamaican brothers had the texts, they had the check he wrote for them, he had the receipt for the rope,
and there was more footage.
They had footage of Jussie Smalls taking them to the place. The camera, pointing to the camera, telling them this is where it needs to happen. They have all this evidence. So, yeah, it was pretty much faked.
It really made me mad because my brother, and my brother wasn't perfect in this situation, but he went through racial discrimination, which either side's white versus blacks, blacks versus whites, no matter what, it's wrong. And he went through that, and he ended up getting stabbed like 30 some times.
In the chest.
In the chest, legs. And his upper
It was more
torso.
like shanked.
Yeah, it was.
Like,
it was. I mean, he wasn't perfect. He definitely said some things to them. But what I'm trying to say is it made me mad because when you experience it firsthand and then someone fakes it just to, blame or target a group of people, that is sickening.
When someone fakes a hate crime, it discredits actual victims.
And then, what's his name? Some CNN reporter you said.
Oh, yeah, Don Lemon pisses me off. Because when this story first came out, of course, every news source jumped on it because, this was the perfect story that they wanted to cover to push their agenda. And Don Lemon, when it first came out, he was super supportive. He was like, yes, I've personally contacted Jesse Smollett, and me being a gay black man myself, told him that if he needs any help in this situation, that I would be there for him. And then when it comes out that he faked the whole thing, he was still apologetic, even though he faked it. He was like, Jesse Smollett, it must be terrible because he must be going through some mental condition and blah, 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 blah. Bitch, he faked it. He's a terrible human being.
Unless he has some kink about getting tied up and then bleached.
Don Lemon pisses me off.
That's not real journalism right there. And
no.
I think when Trump's talking about fake news, this is what he's talking about. And I'm not saying Fox News is perfect because they push agendas like crazy as well.
Yeah.
But that's clearly him going that he's making because he can't say that his side did something wrong, so he has to make up and cover it. And I think in its own way, that is completely gross and sickening that these top-rated journalists, people who are on national television getting millions and millions of views,
the thing is, most conservatives dislike CNN more than MSNBC because MSNBC is more radical as far as being to the left, but they're open about being opinionated sources, where CNN claims to be totally unbiased and
it's
strict news.
It's fine having your opinions and believing in one thing, but when you say that you're not biased and you're reporting unbiased news, and then talk about stuff like this, and then totally agree with them, and then when it comes out as fake, be still apologetic about it, that's not being unbiased. That's you pushing your agenda on people.
Like SNL, they know they're biased, and they say they're biased. They warn people. There's if you're a conservative, we are a pretty democratic TV show. But CNN claims to be unbiased news, and that's where people have a problem with it because they are they are definitely left, you know what I'm saying?
Left leaning,
yeah. But the thing is, they claim to be biased.
See,
if you're gonna be biased, that's fine, but just
come out with an opinion piece.
With it,
yeah, say that this is an opinion show.
This is opinionated.
Yeah, and then boom, the problem's dealt with. I realize that I'm listening to your opinion, and I'll be like, okay, I don't agree with that or I agree with it. Don't try to say it's actual news.
But when you say it's total fact and not opinion.
But when you state it as fact, but it's definitely swinging for one team or another, both sides, because some conservative people do this too. It's just a problem.
Mm-hmm. Both sides are guilty in this one.
That was the basic rundown of the Jesse Smollett situation. Our next
really like this topic.
Is you want to introduce it?
Yes, this is women being sex objects. # Twitch thoughts.
Okay, and I know that sounds bad, but here's what we mean. Here's what we mean by that. We're saying when women...
How did this end up in the political section?
I'm not sure. Not women, but Twitch streamers or TikTok thoughts. You might have heard of those too, or just pretty much any woman with celebrity status. They use their bodies to try to get views. They'll wear skimpy clothing, music videos.
Show their tits.
Artists will do this too, musicians. They'll over-sexualize their body to get views, but then when people
call them out
on it, they're just like, well, you're being sexist. I'm more than just a set of tits, but they're flashing it around to try to get views.
I'm just saying, there's nothing... Look, I don't hate people who do this just because, they realize that if they use their body, they're going to get
do
views.
what you gotta do.
Do what you gotta do.
Porn stars, for example.
But when they call...
But that's the thing about porn stars, is they know that they're doing it.
They don't complain about it.
They're openly saying, yeah, I'm using my body to make money and okay, good job. I applaud that. But then people who are like, I'm gaming, but I'm also going to wear a real...
Yeah, when people are showing off their tits and having their ass hang out, and then they complain about men being sexist.
Yeah, people being like, well, you're just doing this to get views. And they're like, no, I'm not. And it's, well, you are.
Or, this happens too when, artists, I'm not gonna name it, an artist will have a music video of them I don't even know what, trying to pick up a quarter starfish style, or you know what I'm saying, something really oofy like that, like, you know, skimpy clothes. And then people will comment, there's like, oh, she's really hot, she's got a nice butt, all this, that, and the other thing. And then they complain about it. They're just like, oh, wow, you're just a pig. You're just a pig. Woman, and you're strutting around wearing a piece of string for a bathing suit. What do you think? Well, like, they'll be like, even in our own high school, there'll be, I saw this in the lunchtime. There was a girl who had such deep cleavage, like her shirt had a V in it that went down to her belly button, and she was complaining to one of her friends. She's like, ugh, I saw like 5 guys staring at my cleavage today, and I wanted to say so bad. I was like, well, that's because you're showing almost all of it.
See, this is
don't flash it and then yell at people when they.
This is a gender thing, though, and yes, there's only 2 of them. Women have that ability. I mean, attractive men can do that, but it's more of it's a power play women can use, and yeah. I mean, I can't hate them for using it because they know. But there is a lot of successful women that like don't do that.
Yeah.
So it's not.
Exactly.
It's like a quick, like a cheap thing you can do to get views.
Yeah, it's a cheap tool to get views, and if you were actually talented, you wouldn't have to use your body to get views. That's another part of it.
Like I think you can be good at what you do and not have to fucking sell out your tits.
Yeah, I don't think you should have to. And if you are going to, there's gonna be some creeps that may jerk off to it. I don't agree. That's what you chose to throw out there.
Yeah, we don't agree with those creeps.
You might what, Ben? What was that?
Nothing.
We don't agree with those creeps, but I can't stop other people. I can't change society.
You can't stop those creeps because you put it out on the internet, and now your mahong dongala hoogs are out for the world to see. You have to know that there are going to be creeps out there who are going to look at that.
Man, this has been a really interesting topic. And like I said, I don't know how this
I feel like this is what we're going to be the most hated on.
Just to clarify.
Oh, yeah, because there's going to be a girl that's like, I think I should be able to show off my tit and not have it look.
All right, hold on. Before anyone says, so are you saying if someone's wearing skimpy clothing that there's an excuse if someone rapes them? That's not what we're saying.
We're not saying.
All. Definitely
there's
not.
no
excuse for
rape. If you get raped, you're going to the I almost said it wrong. If you rape somebody, you're going to the boiler room of hell. I almost just said if you get raped, you go. No, if you get raped, God bless you. If you are the one who raped,
this brings it.
This
brings it back to Jesse Smollett saying like having false accusations, and then people saying like, "What? How do I trust people now?" It puts a bad era of trust on people who actually got
that's another
terrible
thing. Like,
things.
Women who wear skimpy clothes to get views, like you said, are now putting that negative thing out there because now people think that all women are wearing skimpy clothes. Well,
that's one of the biggest things that pissed me off was the movement, the whole Brett Kavanaugh thing. When what's her name,
Ford.
Yeah, Miss Ford. When she came out with her story, and Hollywood, you had lead Hollywood actresses coming out and saying, we support you, we believe you, and then they started this movement of like, believe her or believe what she says because, women never lie, so just believe whatever they say. She had zero proof of any of this. You're going off of her story just because she's a woman. Like, that whole movement
it needs to be justice. Both sides need to be looked into, and then,
Yeah, like, you're innocent until proven
the male's
guilty.
not always correct and the female's not always correct. You
go off of evidence. You don't go off of gender or preconceived notions. Like, that pisses me off.
Man, we have spent time on these topics. We're almost out of time. But my favorite one is next, and Ben, you can start this because you...
All right, if you haven't heard, Stalin is running for office. I mean, Bernie Sanders is running for office. Again.
What's the difference?
Like, flashback to SpongeBob. How many times do we have to...
How many times do I have to teach you this lesson, old man? Was he like 94?
He's like 80-something. Or 70, high
Bernie
70s.
Sanders is outright crazy, and I love it when he talks about taxing the rich.
Even though he is rich.
I just bought my second house or third house, whatever it was, and like, wait, how are you going to tax yourself that high?
I just bought an entire planet, but fuck the rich.
It's unbelievable that the things he says...
The top 1% own all the wealth. Bitch, you own all the wealth.
Ben Shapiro for president 2020.
Ben Shapiro.
No, Kanye West, isn't he running?
He said he was going to, but
he's not going.
No, I think he said he wasn't gonna because he'd have to run against Trump.
2016, he said he was, but then I don't know.
Trump's
2020.
Not looking good for the 2020 election. I'm going to be honest with you, boys.
I mean, I've already said this before. I just think it depends on who runs against him. If Bernie Sanders runs against him, he probably has a chance of winning. Because
that's a scary thought, though, because he's going to make college free, which sounds whoopity-doopity, but that's going to make taxes go through the sky.
And he wants a $15 minimum wage. And for someone who has worked minimum wage for the past year, I don't support $15 minimum wage.
I don't
that's
deserve
insane.
$15. I don't do a job that I require.
Bitch, I wash dishes and make pizzas.
It's like, oh, you're making $15. That's great, but that $4 cheeseburger now costs $14. Is it worth it? No.
Bernie Sanders, he's...
But what's scary is that he's the lead Democratic candidate right now.
See, that's what I'm scared about. Is like the Young Turks came out after Hillary Clinton lost. They all said, well...
we have to go more radical now.
He said we have to go more radical. If we can't beat him at Hillary Clinton's level, we have to go to Bernie Sanders' level. And that's what I'm worried about.
I'm worried
if
too,
he wins.
because usually it's the check and balance system. Oh, the Republicans will check him out. We're losing the Senate and the House, which means that for the first time in a coon's age, the entire government, for the most part, is going to be Democratic, which means Canada's not looking so bad no more because all colleges are going to be...
Dude, I'm just saying, if the Republican Party went as far right as the Democratic Party has gone as far left, they would be calling them Nazis. Literal Nazis. They would be literal Nazis because the Democratic Party right now is pretty much communist. Mm-hmm. I'm not joking.
Oh, no, they are.
Bernie Sanders is a communist.
If the Republicans went full right, it'd be mass genocide, probably.
Like... If all the things happen in this country that Bernie Sanders wants to happen, we will literally be living in Soviet Russia.
It'll be bad.
It will be bad.
Well, I think that concludes our podcast for
this
today.
Has been White Kids Talk number 4.
Featuring Cody Anthony.
Yeah, boy.
Remember, I'm going to link Cody's CJ skits in the description or comments. I don't know. Just look and it'll probably be there. I'm going to link that down below.
Also, if you are interested in becoming a guest... you have to DM our Instagram or get a hold of me at loser on Instagram,
or just talk to us if you see us.
Or talk to us if you see us around.
Because we want a new guest on here every single week.
And if you liked this podcast, make sure you share it to friends who might also enjoy it to get it out there.
Please help us grow. We just surpassed our first goal of 50 subs. We're at like 54 at the time of this recording. Please help us grow. We thank everyone who's subbed. Our next goal is 75. Help us get to 75 subs. Like the video, subscribe, tell it to your friends. Contact us if you want to be on the podcast.
We would love to have more people. We already have a few people that want to be on. It's just hard getting everybody together.
Leave a comment section if you want an entire podcast just about religion. Because if that's something that people want, we could definitely make that happen.
I mean, religion's a very divisive topic to talk about. But if you want us to talk about it, we could talk about that.
We could. That's something... that we all have, that's something we could just easily... we could easily kill half an hour on that.
Definitely.
We have been dragging this bad boy out for a while, so I've been Brian Fedorchuk.
Ben Donnell.
Cody J. Anthony.
And we will see you on the next White Kids Talk.
Peace.